And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 181, season 5. We're starting season 5 of Habs Unfiltered. It is an auspicious occasion. Not auspicious enough for my co-host, Treg Wilson, to wear pants.
I barely wore a shirt today. You're lucky I put a shirt on.
And my other co-host, Matt Smith, has taken some time off of being blown on by fans to join us.
Thanks for the welcome back.
And I am your other host, Blaine Pudvey. I'm sitting underneath my beautiful heat pump with all the AC that I could ever possibly want. So, haha, screw both of you guys. Heat don't bother me none. Anyway, so as I said, we're in episode 181, season 5 of Habs Unfiltered. This week's episode, we're going to cover a little bit of this and that. Talk about Caulfield, vaccine mandates, the new president for the Canadiens, what the team has, what it's missing, if it's missing anything, and a little bit other tidbits. So we'll just kick it off right now with the NHL, and namely the Montreal Canadiens, requiring vaccinations for those who are going to work with, play for, work for, or enter the building of the Montreal Canadiens. Clearly Treg's doing something right now with his camera. So Matt, we're going to start with you.
I'll keep it short and sweet. It's the right thing to do. It's the right call by the Canadiens, and it's the right call by the league. If you want to play and you want to get paid, take the vaccine. It's going to protect the players on the ice, going to protect the officials, and it's going to protect the fans. So, we've all seen other industries push for mandatory vaccines. And it's just a matter of time where it's going to hit more and more and more and more. So I think it's excellent. I think the more vaccinations that can be put out, the better, and we can kind of get back to normal and see what each other look like at the grocery store and all that kind of stuff, and finally lose these goddamn masks.
Exactly. Treg, what about you?
It's the right thing to do. I believe everyone but Edmonton and one other team is even saying that for fans to come into the arenas for the new season. They want them fully vaccinated, or at least with their passport or proof of vaccination.
You mean their immunization card? Because it's not a passport. This bullshit with passports, it's your immunization card. It's been going on forever.
It's against my basic rights of a human, Blaine.
Well, and here's the thing. You can choose not to vaccinate yourself. That is your right to not do it.
Absolutely.
But you do not have the right to be free of consequence for not doing that.
And a private business has the right to refuse entry to you if you're not vaccinated. Correct. It's no different it's no different than a 17-year-old trying to get into a bar, or an 18-year-old trying to get into a bar with no liquor ID. He gets ID. You're not allowed in. You don't have the ID. See ya. Bye.
You're infringing on that underage person's rights.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, sucks to be him. Should have been born earlier.
And now you're assuming their gender. What is wrong with you?
You people.
You people. Oh my God.
That's the end of my podcast career. See you later.
And that's season 5.
Kicking it off with a bang. Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. It is the right thing to do. And again, if you choose not to do it, then you choose to take on the burden of the consequences for your decision. That's it. And if you're worried about long-term effects, I say in air quotes, for a vaccine, vaccines long-term is 3 weeks. So there's been hundreds of millions of cases that have proven that it's okay. If you're still hesitant, just remember for some kind of hey, maybe there's some kind of politics behind it. Just remember that all the world's leaders in all the countries, all the G7 countries, the people that would be part of the pentaverate that run the world have all been vaccinated.
Or so they tell
Or
us.
so they told us. Maybe it's a different kind of vaccine for those reptilians, because it's the Illuminati run the world. Anyway, so that's the case with most Canadian franchises. They're going to be requiring vaccinations. This is whether you agree with it politically or not. This is what it is. This is what they're going to be dealing with. There might be players that choose not to do so, and then that's going to bring up some other interesting options. Yeah, for the league and the PA to deal with. But for now, no one's opted out. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Well, Brendan Press won't be playing. Oh, wait. He doesn't play now. So
yeah. Sometimes when you meet someone, you just feel bad for their dog. Anyway, the next piece of news, the Montreal Canadiens have named a new president of operations, not hockey ops, the overall Grope president. And that president is France Belanger. She's also going to be an alternate governor for the NHL. So when Molson's not available for NHL board meetings, she will be there. So this is a big promotion for her, and it breaks a glass ceiling.
Well, before, they think the highest woman in the NHL for a job was a scout, I believe.
No, there's a vice president. I cannot for the life of me remember her name, and there's not many females working in management in the NHL.
Correct. Yeah.
And she's definitely the highest.
It's great news.
She's definitely the highest ranked one.
She's Mark Bergevin's boss, basically.
She is, yes.
But good for her. It's a proper thing. Maybe she'll be the next GM of the Canadiens.
I would doubt it. She's a lawyer. I think she's a lawyer. She's definitely business side, and that's been her role with the Canadiens the entire time that she's been there. She answers only to Molson, so I would think hockey ops has its own dealings, but they fall under her. So we'll see.
That's good for her. It's good for women.
Yeah,
it's good for her. Good for women in the sports, and who knows? Maybe we'll see a woman playing someday.
You never know. It's possible. They've been drafting.
Okay.
Women have been drafted into the OHL now, so hey,
and I'm okay with it.
You good enough to play? Play.
Yep.
Who gives a shit what gender you are? All I care about is how many goals you're going to score. Can you stop them? Who gives a fuck? Who cares the gender? I got to save the first F-bomb for Matt.
Matt stops him with his beauty.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we'll just we'll skip on from here and move on to Cole Caulfield.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. In my prospect pyramid I did for the Hockey Writers, I put him as the only tier 1 prospect for the Canadiens. And I actually got comments in there saying, well, how is he a prospect? He's played in the NHL. Yeah. Yeah. He played 10 freaking games last year. Playoffs don't count, guys. He is eligible for the Calder Trophy. So
even if playoffs counted, he wouldn't have enough games.
No, he would have 30 games, which would be 5 more than the minimum or the maximum.
Okay, I thought it was 40.
Yeah. But he is eligible for the Calder Trophy this year. So, Matt, we're going to start with you again. What are the odds?
I think that he's going to be a finalist. I think he's going to be definitely in the top 3. Can he win it? Absolutely. We know that he's likely going to play a top 6 role with the Canadiens, likely going to stay with Suzuki. He's going to be given every opportunity to succeed. He's going to be given every opportunity on the power play, etc. So absolutely, can he win it? Obviously, we're all going to be cheering for him, and hopefully he can take that next step. Small sample size in the NHL. looked very good. He scored some big goals when it mattered most. In the playoffs, he was counted on quite a bit. Put up 12 points in 20 games with 4 goals, and put up 4 goals and an assist in the 10 games that he played in the regular season. Won the Hobie Baker, looked good in Laval. So with a full training camp with the Canadiens, which is going to be the first one he's had,
Yep.
I think sky's the limit for this kid, and he'll definitely be a finalist, if not win it.
Do you think he goes to the rookie camp in 3 weeks?
No, he'll just go to the main camp.
But he's a rookie.
I know. Oh my god. No, I think he'll just go to main camp. I think he's a lock to make the roster. I don't think he's going to really have to fight and battle with anybody to secure his spot.
Treg, what about you?
I think it's his to lose, but there are some good players. Spencer Knight looks like he's going to have a bigger role with Florida, and it could be the Andrew Raycroft of Cole Caulfield's Michael Ryder. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going to hit the 25 goal mark if he stays healthy and plays the way he's playing. If he does that, I don't see any reason why he can't win it. But like I say, Quentin Bayfield might play more in the NHL this year. It's tough to say. Tough to say who's going to be in the NHL this year.
So for me, for me with Byfield, and if you want, well, actually, let's finish on the Caulfield thing, and then we'll go into maybe some of his competition.
Yeah. But no, I think it's his to lose right now. But I mean, you never know who's going to break out from some other team and have a good season. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why he can't win it. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's guaranteed to get it.
No. I don't think he's guaranteed. But
we're gonna change that around, and when we do the editing for this, and it's gonna make you sound like you 100%.
Oh, he's guaranteed to win it.
Yeah,
he's guaranteed.
It's like a liberal attack ad.
Win it. We're gonna put your face on Veruca Salt. Get nailed for a copyright. No, I don't think he's guaranteed, but he definitely has a step ahead. I mean, that playoff run, those 20 games in the playoffs, that gives him a huge, huge advantage to other rookies coming into the league this coming season, because he figured out that timing. He figured out that intensity. When the NHL season starts, it's not going to be as intense or as difficult, but he's going to know he can reach those levels. So he can start off with with a better pace. He could probably take advantage of some slow starts and start padding his stats a little bit, and know that when things start to pick up, when the pace picks up, when the intensity picks up, he's going to be able to match that. So that little bit of experience, I think, is going to be what gives him the edge. He's definitely going to have some stiff competition. There is a ton of really good young players coming, but that little bit of experience, I think, is going to give him that edge. So you wanted to talk about some of the other players there, Matt.
Yeah.
Who else do you think?
So let's jump into, like, we brought up Byfield. So the thing with Byfield is, because he played more than those 20 games in the AHL, he is eligible to jump back into the AHL and play for the Ontario Reign, which is what I think is going to happen with the Canadiens. Well, I will say the Canadiens. With the Canadiens losing Deneau to the Kings, he's more than likely going to be the 2C over there. You've also got Velarde, who's coming back from injury, played at the World Championship, etc. I don't know if Byfield makes that jump. I think he's going to be more a top 6 guy in the AHL. Ton of skill. We saw a little small sample size. I think he played 5-6 games for the Kings this year.
Turcotte's there as well. Turcotte's going to be in competition
there as well. Yeah. So I just don't see him jumping in this year, maybe next. But
Another
it's good. But I'm happy that he won't have to go back to Ontario to Sudbury.
Well, no, he should go back to Sudbury. Him and Quentin Musty together would be amazing.
I think it's better for his development. It's better for his development that he stays in with the AHL.
Go Wolves.
Trevor Zegras is another guy that could step up, and he had 13 points, 24 games last year, so he's under the he falls in under the
limit.
The limit, so he could be another guy that comes into it, and Anaheim also has Jamie Drysdale. He could have a big season with them, so it's possible. I mean, he'll have to have a Cal McCarr type season, I think, to get the Calder Trophy. But Jeremy Swayman for Boston's another guy. Like, if Linus Ullmark can't do the job as the number one in Boston, Swayman's the backup, and he was pretty solid last year, 7-3-0 with 2 shutouts. So there's competition. There's definitely competition.
We all know who's going to win, and it's whatever. Insert name here, rookie for the Maple Leafs, because they're the greatest ever.
No.
No, you sure?
I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Nick Roberts.
Well, no, it could be whatever other young player they call up.
Austin Matthews.
Makes no difference.
Austin Matthews repaired wrist. It's making his debut.
Yes. Yeah. Because he had to get a new wrist. He's an entirely new player. Therefore,
could you imagine how many goals he would have scored with a good wrist?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they put him on the cover of NHL 22 or something. Just as
I digitally order mine, so I don't get a cover, so I really don't care.
It still shows up in the main page, though.
No, Carey Price shows up on my main page for NHL 20, the last one. Oh, Ovechkin. Yes, Ovechkin shows up, and then you have to hit start. I get what you're saying. So.
Just close your eyes.
Austin Matthews scoring 75 goals this year. He has a brand new wrist. He has the Luke Skywalker wrist. There's no way he's not scoring 75.
75
you heard it here first.
Regular season goals, and again, 1 playoff goal.
And Marner's going to have 107 points and 3 points in the playoff.
That's right.
No goals.
Just book your tee times for round 2 now.
And they'll be at UFC for the rest of the summer.
Because there's several traditions in Toronto: winning the Stanley Cup in October and not making the second round.
I mean, I'm going to say something. I think Toronto goes to the second round this year.
Based on?
Just, I'm tired of them. I don't know. Based on, I feel bad for Leaf fans.
It's their
fault. I
don't
hate the Leafs. I don't really hate the Leafs. Sorry, guys. I don't know.
Dropping a lot of bombshells on season 5.
What is wrong with you?
I don't. I never did hate the Leafs.
Must be the heat.
Did somebody switch your steroids with estrogen?
That's why I put a shirt on. That's why I put a shirt on. That's why I put a shirt on because they're starting to look big.
10 weeks before competition.
Because I've been told that you're always angry and on steroids. And, my God,
I'm not angry. I'm not on steroids, but I'm not angry. I'm just saying.
I like that he said he wasn't angry first.
Yeah,
I'm not angry. I mean, I'm not on steroids.
But I don't hate the Leafs as a team. I mean, their fans are a bit junk, but so are Canadiens fans. Come on, let's be honest here.
No.
I mean, they're both crazy. Leafs think they're going to win every year. Canadiens think every player they get's crap. So, I mean, every player Leafs get is the greatest thing that ever came to the team. Nick Ritchie, the greatest fucking top 6 scorer in the league, even though he's never been anything. And we get a player and everyone thinks he sucks.
Yep.
Just the way it goes.
Everyone's got their quirks.
I may not dislike Toronto, but I'm not a Toronto fan.
Well, that's the team that I hate.
The team I hate is Boston. Can't stand the Bruins.
Because if you're going to talk about a real rival, it's not Toronto.
No, it's the Bruins.
No.
I grew up in the 80s and 90s. It was Bruins.
Yeah.
Not the Leafs were in the West and lost or never made the playoffs, so it didn't really matter. I didn't care about them. They were irrelevant.
So speaking of teams that are, talk about teams in the division. Do you feel that with the Canadiens back in the Atlantic Division, Matt, we're going to switch over to you, that the Canadiens are going to take a step back?
No.
Okay, well that was good. Treg.
I think they'll be no. I think they'll be like. I think they'll be. I think they'll be fine. I think they're gonna have their bumps along the way, like they usually do along the season. But I think it's just gonna take. I think it's gonna take a little bit to get going at the start with the inexperience at center, and then losing out. Obviously, their leadership's taking a hit with Weber being out. Byron's going to be missing the first little bit as well, but Price should be back to start the year, and then you've got an abundance of wingers that can put the puck in the net. So if everything lines up, this team should be just fine. But you've still got a really solid division. However, you're also going to be playing Buffalo. You're also going to be playing Detroit, and you're going to be able to play against all the other teams in the league, not just against your division or your modified division. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's going to make a difference. I really do. Treg, what do you think?
I think the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins are going to take a step back. I think the Bruins are going to miss the playoffs. I think they have huge after their first line. Everything's a question mark.
Even with Rask coming back now?
Is he? I never heard if he's coming back. That's the first I heard of it.
He'd like to come back, and he said that he'd come back and be a cheap goalie for them, but he's still going to have to heal up from his surgery first.
But still, even if Rask comes back, I think Boston kind of take a step back. Their defense is suspect. Anything after the first line is basically suspect. Like Krejci's gone now, so they don't really have Charlie Coyle's going to be their second line center.
I mean, Coyle. They got Coyle and Hall in that second line.
Yeah. I mean, come on, Taylor Hall. He had one good season. Let's pump the brakes on Taylor Hall. Really. I don't know. I just think he is, but it's not as great as everyone thinks he is. I know. I'm a podcaster, so I know these things.
I drink and I know things.
I don't think the Leafs are going to be as good as everyone thinks they're going to be either. I think the Leafs' depth is actually worse this year than it was last year. I mean, I know Leaf fans are pretty excited, but I think Zach Hyman's a huge loss for them on that top six. I really do. He was tough as he was a grindy, tough as nails type player, and he did all the dirty work for Matthews and Marner or Nylander, whoever played with Matthews, and I think it was Marner. And now they don't have that. So I'm not saying, now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the Leafs are going to miss the playoffs or anything, but I just don't think they're going to be this powerhouse team that everyone thinks. Tampa Bay and Florida are going to be teams to beat. That's who's going to be the teams to beat in the Atlantic. Yeah. And again, Florida is all dependent on how well Bobrovsky and Knight play in nets. And Montreal, I think the wingers are going to shelter their centers. I think they're so deep on the wing. They have a potential for 8 20-goal scorers and 5 30-goal scorers. I say potential. And it's going to be interesting. I think Montreal's going to be a high-scoring team. I really do. I think their defense is going to wane a bit, but I think Price is going to have a comeback year. And I think they'll be just fine. I don't think they're going to take the division or anything, but I think they'll be safely in a wild card spot come playoff time.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I don't think they're going to take a step back, but I'm not seeing a step forward either.
No,
they're going to be kind of holding on. Like last season, with everything that happened, them making the playoffs was a big deal. The fact, they were playing without 7 of their top players for long stretches. They had that really compressed schedule, and they still found a way to make the playoffs. That was an accomplishment. This year, it's going to be very different. Hopefully, we don't want to see those kinds of injuries or that kind of compressed schedule. But with the changes, with the additions they've made, I think they can tread water and kind of still be there. I mean, I'm with you guys. The loss of Weber is going to be the biggest issue when it comes to this. Huge. His leadership is. They brought Savard in, who can play that physical style of defense and eat those minutes and play on the penalty kill. But it's that leadership in the room that I think is going to be missed the most.
Something I'm kind of looking at is Dominic Ducharme having a full season and like starting the season as the coach, and all his all his plans written up and all his strategies written up and everything, and that he'll be able to implement that with his coaching staff.
Well, in the past, he's enjoyed setting up his scheme. His offensive scheme has always come from that transition game. And you look at what they have on the blue line right now. There's a ton of really good stay-at-home guys. You know that Edmondson Petrie is going to be a pairing.
Yeah.
And Petrie is that premier puck mover on the blue line that the Canadiens have right now. But then you look down the lineup, who else do they have that can move the puck? Romanov, he's in his second year.
Romanov shows flashes, and I think
Yeah.
that he'll take a step forward this year, and I think they're going to rely on him a little bit more.
But how much more, we're not sure.
That's
And you
right.
look further down the lineup, you got Kulak and Weidman who are going to be competing
Yeah.
for a spot. Norlinder is one guy that could really surprise. He's doing really well in Europe right now. But my concern with Norlinder when he comes in for a camp, without a massive camp proving that he can play right now, like from moment number one,
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
likely
know if
going back
Ducharme's going to.
yeah,
I don't
he'll
know if
likely go back
Ducharme's
to
going to
Europe.
keep him.
No,
You got to get used to North American ice as well.
That's right.
So that'll be a change for Norlinder.
But his skill set is
Why-
desperately needed.
He
absolutely.
is the skill set that they need in the top four.
Yeah. But
That's what they. But
they can't
Norlinder's
afford-
not going to.
they can't force a guy
Right.
in like they did with Mete though.
No. Well, if they kept Mete, we'd be talking Stanley Cup contenders right now.
Had to throw that in there. Season 5 Mete reference. You got it here first.
Norlander, I mean, he's not going to get into the top four, even if he makes the team. So, who knows? Maybe he will blow us away. Maybe he'll come over and we'll be like, "Holy shit! What the hell is this?" But I'm looking for Romanov to take a big step forward. Like, I'm looking to him to take the reins and say, "You know what? I'm taking that number three or four spot, and I'm going to be in the top four with Savard on that second line." And you'll see Sherratt and maybe Kulak or someone. But right now, our puck movers, basically, Chris Weidman could be a very good puck mover for the Canadiens. He can move the puck,
Bottom
But he's
pairing guy.
but he's a bottom pairing guy. Same with Kulak. Kulak, a good puck moving defenseman, bottom pairing defenseman. Victor Mete was the same way. Victor Mete was great between blue line and blue line, but he couldn't defend or play offense. So he's a bottom pairing defenseman. Kulak is too inconsistent to be any more than a bottom pairing defenseman. Same with Weidman, too inconsistent to be any more than. You kind of need a guy that's half breed of Gustafson and some guy who can play defense. anyone that can play defense.
Well, when you're a defenseman, you really got to learn how to do that part called defense.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Gustafson's great with the puck. He can get it out of the zone. He can get it into the other zone. But if he loses it, you're screwed. So
He did that often.
And he
there was
did that
even that
often.
one broken controller moment where you skated past the damn puck, like
Yeah.
literally just walked past an
So-
open puck.
I'm looking for Montreal to make a move on the blue line. I think if there's a move to be made with that extra cap relief with Weber's, it's going to be a puck moving defenseman.
Yeah, and I think that move is dependent on Norlinder, like what
Yes.
he does in camp. If he can come in and take that spot right away, no problem. If he can't, they're going to send him back to Europe, and they're going to make a deal with maybe Kulak going the other way with a bunch of other stuff to try and actually get something worthwhile.
Speaking of which, Olaf Gustafsson signed with Seattle Kraken today.
Gustav Olsen.
And he was paired a lot with Cal Fleury when they were in Laval, so that could work out for us.
Yeah.
Good old
Just a-
made of glass Olsen.
He'll be injured after the first 3 games.
I heard they took
Um,
his like injured wrist or shoulder or whatever and melted it down and gave it to Austin Matthews.
Wow,
Gold plated.
it's for the greater good.
So we've kind of hinted at it, but what is missing for these Montreal Canadiens to be seen as true playoff contenders? And I'm also going to throw in a little wrench in the gears and say, what are they missing to be true cup contenders as well? So Treg, you kind of hinted at it, so I'm going to let you go with the first.
Well, they need a top 4 puck moving defenseman.
Yeah.
by that, I mean someone who can play both sides of the ice and do it well. They all
Like a
that's to
Nick
be a
Lidstrom.
playoff. Well, all right, calm down, Blaine.
Nick Lidstrom's left hand.
Hey, I would go for that.
Yeah.
Just give me his skate, his stick, and his left shoulder, and we're good to go. So that's what they need to be, a playoff contender, I think. Just a good top, someone who can help guide the offense and power the offense coming through. To be an actual cup contender, they need a bona fide number one center along with that puck moving. Nothing against Nick Suzuki, and Nick Suzuki is going to be that guy, but I think they need that top center just to anchor that center group. I just find it's just too young right now. Like,
so what you're saying is they've got it, but they got to wait.
They've got it. They just don't have it with the experience that they have right now. So if they could bring in like I mean, I'm not saying they're going to bring these guys in, but someone like a Bergeron, O'Reilly, someone who can take that first line and shut down the other team, but also score 80 points, then they can go right to the cup.
Unsubstantiated rumor heard here first. They're going after Riley.
Or Bergeron.
I'd be the first one to buy a Ryan O'Reilly jersey. I've always been a huge fan of him.
I wanted him to get Riley when there was rumors that they were going to get him from Buffalo. There was actually a deal, I think, in place for Riley, but Buffalo wanted too much. Yeah. Buffalo wanted too much. Yeah. So,
and if O'Reilly did come to the Canadiens, would Tim Hortons be the sponsor for his jersey?
Yes. Yes.
Or would he just drive right through them?
Oh.
So you heard it here first. He's not coming to the team after that.
And he's not listening to our podcast.
No.
That's what to be a cup contender, I think that's what they need. They got to really have that bona fide center, that two-way center that's going to score the 80, that's going to be sit there and everyone's going to go, hey, that's a number one center. And they need that puck moving defenseman. They're not that far off. They also need Price to be Price. Like they need Vezina Price. So, or playoff price. Playoff price will work.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
I agree with him on both fronts. Yeah. And I do agree that on the center front, Jake Evans could potentially, depending on who they have as their fourth line center, Jake Evans could be their oldest center.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
Yeah.
He's 25.
So it's and he doesn't have a lot of experience. I think he's going to make a jump this year. Obviously, they're obviously showing that they're showing confidence in their centers, or Bergevin somewhere in the background trying to calculate up a deal right now. Who knows? But the way it's looking right now, as Treg alluded to earlier, I think it's going to be a lot of the wingers sheltering the centers, at least for the first little bit, until they get into a grind. Kotkaniemi's not signed yet. We assume that he will.
Haling's not signed yet either.
But what's he going to look like at camp? Is he going to be rejuvenated and he's going to be ready to jump into a top six position, or is he going to be stagnant and kind of drag his feet a little bit until he starts getting going?
Well, and here's the thing: they clearly trust Suzuki. They clearly trust.
Yeah, 100%.
They have some issues with Kotkaniemi, but they need to give him the opportunity.
They do
to fill that.
They
role.
do, and then this year it's an excellent opportunity for him because he's going to get good wingers. And if he can't do anything with the wingers that they have on this team, then he's not going to at this level.
And that's what I was going to say, Matt. This is the year that it's going to be all on Kotkaniemi. There's no more excuses. There's no more carousel of wingers. I mean, he did have 18 different wingers last year. So, I mean, there's no more of this. He didn't get enough minutes. There's not going to be no more of this, he didn't do this or he didn't get trusted in that. If they go with the center lineup they got, he's the
number two.
Default number two center. If he can't, even if he drops to the number three center for some reason because they pick someone up,
he's still going to have good wingers to play with.
He's still going to have good. He's still going to have either Anderson and Hoffman or Gallagher or someone on that third line. Drew in. That's going to. And if he still can't do it, then
you're questioning the player. You're questioning the player.
You got to start questioning the player, not the organization.
Yeah, I'm at the point. I don't think it's going to be as bad as some people may think. I do see him being able to fill that position and fill that role. His production level may not be where people want it to be for someone in a second line role, but I think he can pull it off. I think he will pull it off, for the basic reason that, like you mentioned, he's going to have a steady winger. He's not going to have that carousel. And we talked about this in the last episode. I think it's going to be Gallagher because he is the type of player they want Kotkaniemi to emulate. So who better to have on his wing than the player they want him to emulate? So if he's on the ice with the guy, he has to keep up with him. And if he's Gallagher's constantly in motion, constantly going to the net, putting pucks on net, giving everything he has every single shift. If you're on his line, you better be doing the same thing. But for me, when going back to playoff and cup contention, you guys hit the nail on the head. Improved puck mover in the top 4 for the Canadiens to be a true playoff team. And not just that, a team that could actually win a series. I think if they can fix that up a little bit, there you go. That would fix that. A number 1 C, absolutely. I think Suzuki's going to be that guy in the next probably another year. And then I think we're going to see him hitting star status pretty soon. But something that's kind of overlooked in some cases, but not so much in others. The Danault role, the defensive shutdown specialist role. Some are pointing to Evans as being that replacement. I don't think he's going to be able to do that. He can play defensive hockey, but he's
not against top lines. He won't be able to.
No.
I would not put him. He's not going to be a guy that's going to match up against the Bergeron line. He's not going to match up against. No,
it's going to be Suzuki.
Yeah. But you want another guy who can play that role. I think Poehling is being groomed for that. And the way he played in the AHL, I think he's going to be eased into it. But if he can reach that level, become a 3C who can put up 40 points and play in a matchup role, then with Suzuki there, Kotkaniemi being able to play a 2C, you have the bones of a cup contender.
I actually have Ryan Poehling in as a 3C on my line prediction article there with the Hockey Writers. I don't see Evans as a 3C. I just don't see him with the offensive chops to maintain a solid 4C guy with maybe Paquette kind of switching back and forth with him. But I see Poehling as a 3C if no move is made. I mean, they still could get a Dvorak, could be a 2 or 3C, but I see Poehling there. Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, Poehling.
Yeah, I see Evans starting the season as the 3C because Poehling has he's waiver exempt, so they'll want to keep. They're going to move him down so they can keep everybody on the roster, and Evans will start at 3C, and I don't think he's going to be too out of place because he's going to have guys like Hoffman and Anderson to play with. And those two guys are speed merchants. They're both very fast players. And Evans is actually a very speedy hockey player himself. So he'll be able to keep up. I don't know long-term if that's going to be a good fit. And I agree. I do agree that Poehling will eventually become the 3C, but I don't see it start at the start of the season. So what else we got here, boys?
I think any center that's going to come in will be something. It'll be a deal next year.
Oh yeah, it's got to be a trade.
It'll be it could even be an RFA or a UFA. Who knows? There's going to be a few. There'll be a few out there.
Montreal's in a weird spot because they went to Stanley Cup Finals, but now they're at the point where you kind of have to let our young guys take the reins and take the ice. Like if you keep going after these veterans or these guys for 1 or 2 year contracts because, they're not experienced enough. Then all you're doing is pushing these guys back, right? Because Kotkaniemi drops back to 33C. We all know how that's been working for him.
I see Bergeron circling around to Dubois next year at the end of the season.
Could be.
Or Thomas Hertl. I'll say those two. Those are the two names that I'll look at.
I guess. If he's going to do that next year, why not just get Eichel now?
I don't think Bergevin's going to be there next year, so I don't think it's going to matter.
Ooh.
I think Bergevin's done. I think this is his last year and it's over.
Well, he's
Jack Eichel's gonna be the new GM, just like Buffalo. No.
I think Bergevin, he has according to rumors, according to some high people, I think it was Harry Angles, he has a 3-year contract sitting on his desk.
He does have the choice. Yeah.
And he hasn't signed it yet. So I think he's kind of in the, do I really want to continue on doing this?
And after the last couple of years, pressures placed on him, plus from the job, the pandemic of, the pandemic has weighed on everybody. So maybe he's just looking at, I'm going to take some time and think about it, and Christmas time he'll sign or not. Either way, he's going to do the job until the contract's up.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about him later in the season. But for now, to finish the show off, who is going to be your surprise player? Matt, we've been starting with you a bunch of times, so screw you. Treg, who's going to be your surprise player this year?
Jonathan Drouin. I think Jonathan Drouin's going to come back with a whole new look on life, a whole new look on things. He's going to have a solid. I think he's going to end up being on the top lines with Suzuki and Caulfield. I won't be shocked if he's not. I won't be shocked if Toffoli or someone like Anderson's on that line. But and I think he's going to come in. He's going to put up some points and put up some goals and shove it in the face of the haters. I think he's going to have his best season of his career. That's what I think he's going to do this year.
So what, like somewhere from 54 to 60 points kind of thing?
Well, it's going to be more than 56 if he wants his best season of his career. So I'd say 60 points. If he can get 60, 65 points, good for him. Good for him.
And I hope even if he gets to that, I'd be super stoked. But even if he only has one goal and the rest are assists, I'm all for it.
Don't care. He can have 80 assists and 2 goals, and that's 82. There's a point per game.
That's right. Someone's scoring goals off of his passes if he's getting that many of assists.
But Blaine, they're secondary. Half of them were secondary assists.
Actually, they were mostly primary.
No. You're ruining my narrative now.
We're making shit up? Okay. Cool.
So,
I like this.
But that's my surprise player. My surprise player is going to be Jonathan Drouin.
All right. As long as he doesn't cut his hair, he'll be fine.
Samson.
The French Samson.
Samson.
All right. So Matt, what about you? Who's going to be your surprise player this year?
I'm hoping that it's Kotkaniemi.
And what's going to be the surprise about him?
That he'll be able to jump into that role, to be able to actually play on those minutes and contribute at this level and be consistent and play with players that can actually put the puck in the net. He said if he can do that, it's a wonderful pick. If not, we're going to continue to go into the what if scenarios. If they would have picked this guy, or whatever. He's shown flashes. We know he's got the talent. He's a big-bodied center. He just needs to start utilizing that and just take that next step in his game.
I don't think it's going to matter how good he is. If there's always going to be the what if bullshit.
Oh, 100%.
You look at Galchenyuk. Galchenyuk has the second highest point getter of his draft class.
Yep.
But there's still what if we got Forsberg instead? Because they're going to go on to Hockey DB,
right.
Hit most points for that draft year and say, oh, we should have got that guy.
Yeah. And I'll throw another one in there. I'll put Evans. I'll throw him in there as well.
Oh, okay. Great. I haven't made my choice yet, but go ahead and bogart the whole lineup.
I got a question for you, Matt.
Yeah.
What is your ceiling for Kotkaniemi for points this year?
Jesus.
He's looking at his calculator right now.
I am looking at my calculator right now.
Stop turning it upside down to make it say
What for you would
boobies.
be a good season for Kotkaniemi, considering if you get that second line, he's going to have Gallagher and probably Toffoli or someone like that.
He'd have to put up at least 50 points. If he's
So for-
playing top six and he's playing with guys that can really put the puck in the net, like it's a Foley or Gallagher, if he can thread the needle and he can make these passes, 50 points. His career high is 34, and that was his rookie year. He played 79 games, so he should be able to do 50 with say real wingers.
Okay. Would you call anything less a failure at that point?
Depends on how less.
Let's say 40. Let's say he gets 40, but he's a plus player. His line is always winning its battles. They're winning games with him playing.
If they're
the way
winning
he's wanting to
game
play.
and they're successful, then I would say no. But I would say that would be the goal that I'd be pushing him towards, to be at least a 50-point season if he's going to be playing with that caliber of player.
Okay. So as long as you want the points, but if you're willing to sacrifice some to get more W's.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair.
And I just and consistency and just in the consistency and we've seen that he's really good defensive at times, and other times he floats, and sometimes he's really hard on the puck and sometimes he's not, and we just find that next gear that's gonna keep him in the NHL and keep him, keep us talking positive things about him.
And that's exactly why I think Gallagher is going to be a line mate for him, because they want him to find that consistency, and Gallagher is the epitome of consistent.
Yep. And Gallagher's going to take a huge, even a bigger step with the leadership role with Weber gone. So
way to take my guy. He's my surprise player.
Segue.
Yeah. So I'm picking Gallagher to be my surprise player.
There's the pass.
Yeah. And I missed. I fumbled the pass. Oh, I'm such a rat.
Too bad I don't pass like Galchenyuk.
Hey,
tape to tape to the other.
He's great on a line with Caulfield and Suzuki.
All those rumors of him coming back to Montreal. Why? We don't need him back. He's already making the assists.
That's what you're saying about Gallagher.
No, yeah. So Gallagher is going to be he's my pick for the surprise comeback kind of player. He had a tough year last year. He was banged up real bad. I think this year, with some recovery time and some training and a more normal schedule, we're going to see him returning to that production that he had in the past. He's going to be in the top six. It's going to be a little bit of a change because he's going to be, I think, with Kotkaniemi, but there's no Danault there anymore. There's no Tatar there anymore. So he's going to have to take on more of the leadership role, like you mentioned, not just on the ice, but in the room as well. And I think he's going to take on that challenge and grow from it, because he's that kind of personality. He's that kind of character of a person where he is ready and willing to take on more. And when he does, he grows as a player as well. So I'm expecting big things from him this year. I'm not saying 30 goal season, but I'm expecting, the net front smiling face, getting cross-checked in the back of the head, but, raw kind of type on the bench. And I see him leading this team and kind of taking the reins a little bit from Weber. And that's, if he can bridge that gap, then the Canadiens are going to have a successful season.
If Weber can't come back, do you see a captaincy change?
Oh yeah. I see Gallagher wearing the C. I mean, hands down.
So this season, do you see a 3As, or do you think there'll be a temporary C this season?
I see 3As. I see them going with the three assistants. They'll do the captain change when it's decided by Weber if he's going to be back or not.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah. The precedent's there though for a temporary captain. They did it back in the 90s with Chilios. So they could do it, but I don't see it being done this time.
I think it'll be the 3As, I believe.
They did it with when Koivu was out too. Kovalev was a temporary captain for a while.
Yeah, when he was out with cancer, they had a rotating captaincy.
Yeah.
So I think Kovalev was the captain at home, and someone else wore the captain when they were on the road.
I don't know who it was.
Yeah. So I can see, I see the 3As. I could see a rotating temporary captaincy, but
I
the
think it'll be
3As,
three. It'll be
yeah.
3 A's. Probably be Gallagher, Petrie, and somebody else.
Well, it was
Byron gets
Byron.
back.
It was
Yeah,
Byron. Well,
until Byron
Byron will
gets
be out
back,
for a
it'll
little
be-
while.
It'll be someone like Edmondson or Sherrod or someone like that.
I can see-
I would
yeah.
say Sherrod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool
So
call.
that's pretty much it for the show. Any
Kotniemi, he'll get an A.
any final thoughts, Treg?
I want to congratulate Blaine Potvin for being the 4th most read Canadiens writer in Canada for the month of August.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
Royalty wave. No, but seriously, you got anything worthwhile?
That's what I got. I'm congratulating on you being in the top 5.
My God. My back's going to hurt from all the padding. All right, Matt, do you got anything?
No, I got nothing. I'm just excited for the season to start. Preseason's coming up soon. Be a little bit more for us to discuss and get excited about. So just something I'm looking forward to, and obviously be happy to be back here for another season.
Can't argue that. And for me, I'm going to congratulate Treg for being the number 5 writer for the Montreal Canadiens in Canada. So golf clap. Yeah. No,
And
that's
the entire hockey writers team for having 4 of their Canadian writers in the top 15.
Yeah. It was a good month.
And this is no bullshit either for people thinking we're just trying to toot some fake horns. This is an actual thing. So,
yeah, things are starting to look up at the hockey writers, and I think we have to thank our listeners and our viewers. They make you guys are a big part of this. You're the reason why we're getting all these hits is because you guys are actually, I don't know why, but you're listening to us.
weird.
It's kind of like, I liken it to someone watching a car wreck. Like, when people slow down, they're like, oh, look at that. Ooh, wow, that looked horrible. We're that car wreck. People are slowing down and looking and listening to see, just to find out, what did these 3 dummies say this time? And oh my God, look at how beautiful that one guy is.
Craig's like, yeah.
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith. Oh, and we should congratulate Matt Smith because his the Habs Unfiltered OnlyFans page is not being shut down anymore. So congrats to Matt.
Thank you.
And I want to thank the 2 people who paid us the 99 cents. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Gets me a monthly coffee. I'm happy about that.
On an unrelated note, my mother would like to send you her phone number.
That's weird.
Weird. All right. So I want to thank everyone
I'll
for
take
listening
it.
to our asinine ramblings at the end of the show. I want to thank you guys for clicking and subscribing on YouTube. Tell your friends, the more people, the better. Treg is holding up a squishy Chewbacca for some reason. Okay. And yeah, so thank you again for listening. And remember, if you are talking about it, so are we.